Hi everyone, I'm Sam and today we're going to talk about dinosaur. In mid-19th century Britain, natural history was in its golden age. Trains and newspapers were rapidly linking the empire together, and knowledge, like the railway tracks, was stretching into places previously unexplored, including the deep past of our planet. It was in this context that the word Dinosauria was born. In 1842, British naturalist Richard Owen introduced a groundbreaking classification. He had examined several enormous fossilized animals, including Iguanodon and Megalosaurus, and noticed that despite their different appearances, they shared certain skeletal features. Their strong limbs didn't sprawl out to the sides like a lizard's, but were positioned underneath the body, more like those of a mammal. From this, he proposed that they represented a previously unknown group of ancient creatures, and he named them Dinosauria, meaning terrible lizards. Owen was a highly influential figure, both a member of the Royal Society of Medicine and the driving force behind the founding of the Natural History Museum in London. He was a skilled speaker who knew how to make science dramatic and compelling. Yet ironically, despite his flair for public science, he remained skeptical of evolutionary theory and often clashed with Charles Darwin. In a twist of fate, however, the very creatures Owen named, dinosaurs, would later become key evidence in support of evolution and the history of life's transformations. By coining the term dinosaur, Owen helped pull these ancient giants out of the realm of myth and misunderstanding. No longer seen as the bones of giants or dragons, they became subjects of scientific inquiry. From that moment on, dinosaurs stepped into the spotlight as central figures in the birth of modern paleontology. If Richard Owen named the dinosaurs with knowledge and eloquence, then what came next was written with shovels, pickaxes, and newspaper headlines. In the American West during the late 19th century, an unprecedented scientific rivalry unfolded in the wilderness, starring two hot-tempered and brilliant paleontologists, Edward Drinker Cope and Othniel Charles Marsh. This rivalry later became known as the Bone Wars. On the surface, it was a race to discover and study dinosaur fossils, but beneath it was a fierce battle for prestige and academic dominance. The two men hired expeditions deep into the Rocky Mountains and remote Badlands, each desperate to outdig, outname, and outshine the other. Their feud became so intense that it led to sabotage fossils, stolen dig sites, and even bribery for insider information, scenes worthy of a drama. Yet even amid such hostility, Cope and Marsh left behind a legacy of astonishing contributions to paleontology. Between them, they named over 130 species of dinosaurs, including many that are household names today, like Stegosaurus, Triceratops, and Allosaurus. Their rivalry sparked a fossil frenzy that quickly transformed the United States into a new epicenter for dinosaur research, overtaking Britain. But the Bone Wars were also a cautionary tale. Both men ultimately ruined themselves, disgraced, financially broken, and isolated. Alongside the mountain of fossils and scientific data they left behind, they also offered a lasting lesson in how science can be driven and sometimes derailed by pride and ambition. Their story continues to fascinate not just for what they discovered, but for how they pursued it. In the first half of the 20th century, dinosaurs had already taken root in the public imagination, as giant, sluggish, cold-blooded relics of the past, completely disconnected from the agile animal world we know today. In films, they dragged their tails and moved like oversized lizards. This image was so deeply ingrained that even textbooks and museums rarely challenged it. But in the late 1960s, a paleontologist from Yale University, John H. Ostrom, broke the silence. In the United States, he discovered a medium-sized predatory dinosaur, which he named Deinonychus, or Terrible Claw. Unlike the lumbering beasts of popular belief, Deinonychus was lightweight, equipped with powerful hind legs, sickle-shaped claws, and likely showed signs of agility and even complex social behavior. Most striking of all, its skeleton shared many surprising similarities with modern birds. Ostrom put forward a bold hypothesis. Birds are the descendants of dinosaurs, and some dinosaurs might have been warm-blooded. This revolutionary idea sent shockwaves through the scientific world and sparked a movement that would come to be known as the Dinosaur Renaissance. This renaissance wasn't just a theoretical shift. it fundamentally changed how we see dinosaurs. They were no longer evolutionary failures, but active, social, and highly adaptable animals. Some may have had feathers, performed courtship displays, and even cared for their young, signs of intelligence and emotional complexity. From academia to popular culture, this revival reignited global interest in dinosaurs. By the late 1980s, the release of Jurassic Park brought these reimagined dinosaurs into the mainstream, making them more lifelike and captivating than ever before. However, just as we began to rediscover the vitality and evolutionary potential of dinosaurs, a deeper question emerged. How could such successful creatures ultimately go extinct? Dinosaurs ruled the Earth for over 160 million years. They adapted to droughts, floods, and climate shifts, thriving across all continents. From elephant-sized herbivores to predators more agile than wolves, they filled ancient skies and landscapes. How, then, could such dominant life forms vanish? Almost overnight? The key to this mystery lies in a thin layer of rock. Since the mid-20th century, geologists have discovered a narrow, dark gray sediment layer at the boundary between the Cretaceous and Paleogene periods, known as the KPG boundary, in sites around the world. This layer is rich in iridium, a rare element in Earth's crust, but commonly found in meteorites. In 1980, physicist Luis Alvarez and his son, Walter Alvarez, proposed a groundbreaking theory. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck Earth, triggering a global catastrophe that led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. The asteroid, estimated to be 10 kilometers wide, hit what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, leaving behind the still visible Chicxulub crater. The impact unleashed fireballs that ignited worldwide wildfires. Dust and aerosols darkened the skies, blocking sunlight and causing temperatures to plummet. Plants died, food chains collapsed, and mass extinction followed. Dinosaurs weren't the only casualties. Over 70% of all species on Earth disappeared. But was this the only cause? Scientists remain cautious. Around the same time, massive volcanic eruptions in India's Deccan Drat Traps were spewing huge amounts of carbon dioxide and sulfur into the atmosphere over tens of thousands of years. This likely caused long-term global warming, acid rain, and ecological stress. Some researchers believe the asteroid was the final blow in a 1-2 punch, a deadly combination of volcanic pressure and a sudden, catastrophic impact. The extinction of the dinosaurs, then, may not have been a simple story of a single event, but a complex chain of disasters that reshaped life on Earth forever. Since Luis Alvarez and his son Walter first proposed the asteroid impact theory in 1980, it quickly became the leading explanation for the extinction of the dinosaurs. However, proving this theory was far more complex than simply suggesting a possible event. Scientists needed solid evidence to support their claims, and that evidence gradually emerged from the Chicxulub crater, the suspected impact site, as well as from rock layers found around the world. The Chicxulub crater, located on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, is one of the key pieces of evidence supporting the asteroid impact hypothesis. This enormous crater is about 150 kilometers wide and 20 kilometers deep. At first, its significance went unnoticed. But by the end of the 20th century, data from various disciplines began to converge, confirming the crater's origin and its crucial role in the extinction event. Another major discovery was the global iridium layer. Scientists found abnormally high concentrations of iridium, an element rare in Earth's crust, but common in meteorites, within the KPG boundary sediment around the world. This layer not only strengthened the asteroid hypothesis, but also provided a clear geological timestamp for the disaster. The iridium delivered by the impact became a time marker of this ancient catastrophe. As research progressed, more indirect evidence surfaced. For instance, the asteroid strike is believed to have triggered massive wildfires, releasing enormous amounts of soot and smoke into the atmosphere. This would have blocked sunlight, halted photosynthesis, and collapsed ecosystems. Fossil records reveal intense environmental stress during this time. Additionally, scientists discovered shocked quartz, tiny mineral structures formed under extreme pressure within the impact layer, further confirming that an incredibly powerful collision had occurred. The success of the impact theory was not achieved overnight. It became widely accepted only after decades of data collection and interdisciplinary collaboration. Still, the theory doesn't rule out other contributing factors. Evidence of volcanic activity, particularly from the Deccan Traps in India, suggests that Earth was already under severe environmental stress before the asteroid hit. For many scientists, the extinction of the dinosaurs remains a story of multiple causes, with the asteroid delivering the final, devastating blow. Although dinosaurs vanished from the Earth 66 million years ago, the questions surrounding them continue to grow, and the answers are becoming more fascinating than ever. Thanks to rapid advances in scientific tools and interdisciplinary techniques, we are now entering a new era of dinosaur research. It's no longer just about cleaning fossils. It's about reimagining and even reconstructing the creatures that once ruled the planet. One of the major frontiers is the relationship between dinosaurs and birds. Increasing evidence shows that birds aren't just relatives of dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs. In other words, the sparrows and crows we see today are the direct descendants of small feathered dinosaurs. Future research is moving beyond digging up fossils to exploring bird genomes, embryonic development, and evolutionary structures, all in an effort to trace how dinosaurs became birds. Another exciting area is the reconstruction of dinosaurs' appearance. In the past, scientists had to rely solely on bones and artists' imaginations. But now, with tools like electron microscopes and chemical scanning, researchers can detect traces of pigment cells in some fossils, allowing them to infer the color and texture of dinosaur feathers. That means we're no longer limited to imagining dinosaur shapes. We can begin to restore their true colors and patterns. Colorful dinosaurs are no longer just fantasy in animation. Meanwhile, breakthroughs in ancient DNA and genetic science are pushing boundaries. Although it's still impossible to extract complete DNA from dinosaur fossils, some research teams are experimenting with modifying bird genes, activating or silencing ancient traits to create experimental models of dino-like birds. These efforts are controversial, but they also ignite the imagination, calling to mind scenes from Jurassic Park. The future of dinosaur studies isn't just about discovering new species. It's about understanding how dinosaurs lived, grew, interacted, and eventually disappeared. From large-scale population distribution to the movement of a single joint, from parenting behavior to seasonal migration, scientists are working to reconstruct the everyday world of dinosaurs. With simulations, VR, and 3D printing, we may soon be able to step into the age of dinosaurs and revisit the ancient past through modern technology. One day, dinosaurs may no longer be confined to museum glass cases. They could appear in classrooms, in immersive digital environments, and perhaps, in some form, live again. So how were these astonishing discoveries pieced together, bit by bit? The real engine driving progress in dinosaur science isn't the fossils themselves. It's the researchers sweating under the sun and squinting into microscopes, the ones piecing together ancient life with patience and precision. In movies, paleontologists are often portrayed as fearless adventurers, wielding torches or flashlights as they stumble upon massive fossils in dense jungles. But in reality, studying dinosaurs is much more about sweating in the heat, blinking at data, and getting lost in old papers. A modern dinosaur researcher, a vertebrate paleontologist, typically works across three main stages: field excavation, lab analysis, and academic research and outreach. The summer months are peak field season. With rock hammers, GPS units, and notebooks in hand, scientists travel to remote deserts, badlands, or high plateaus in search of exposed rock layers and fossil traces. Excavating fossils isn't a dramatic overnight discovery. It's a slow and careful process. One specimen can take weeks or even months to clean and prepare before its secrets are revealed. Back in the lab, researchers carry out detailed repairs and analysis. They scan fossil structures, examine microscopic wear patterns on bones, and test for traces of pigment cells. They often compare their findings with specimens in other museums around the world. Increasingly, the work also involves digital modeling, computer simulations, and statistical analysis, helping scientists make informed guesses about how dinosaurs moved, how strong their bite was, or how they might have behaved socially. But paleontology isn't just about fossils, it's also about storytelling. Every paleontologist is, in a way, a narrator of lost worlds. They publish their findings in journals, teach students in universities, and explain dinosaur life and extinction to the public through museum exhibits, books, or documentaries. Science communication has become a vital part of the job. So how does one become a dinosaur researcher? Most start with a background in geology or biology, build a strong foundation in college, then pursue graduate studies, usually a master's or PhD in paleontology or a related field. It's a tough academic path, and jobs in research institutions and museums are highly competitive. But for many, the reward of reading the story of life etched in stone is more than worth the effort. Of course, you don't need a PhD to take part. Many museums and field projects welcome volunteers, and countless paleontologists began with nothing more than a childhood love of dinosaurs. Whether you're a student, teacher, designer, or novelist, if you're curious about the history of life, the world of dinosaurs is always open to you. That's it for today, and I'll see you in the next episode.